And every time people unite against us, we haven't been able to deal with it because we assume that this kind of thing won't happen to us because decent people don't do this kind of thing, and we don't know, we can't separate what is and what is not in this regard. Now let us look at what has gone on before in dealing with religions and history before the Christian era. I was trying to deal with that history in Africa with pre-God religions. And when I say pre-God religions, I am not talking about an age of godlessness, and I'm not talking about an age of sinfulness and an age of degradation. This was one of the greatest ages of spirituality known in the history of the world. It was probably one of the highest moral ages known to man. And man did not use the word God at all. And I'm not talking about a godless age. I am talking about an age when man accepted a spiritual force of the universe so all-conclusive that it included everything. And man did not say only man has a soul. He said all living things has a soul, including the cockroach. And he wouldn't step on a cockroach because a cockroach has a soul. And he wouldn't cut down a tree without a ceremony because a tree has life and a tree has a soul. Western man began the stupid concept that only human beings have soul. Western man, in his soullessness, began the concept that only certain people with certain faces and certain color have soul. Western man is the only one that began to make a virtue out of a physical defect, the lack of color. And to make you feel ashamed out of the great virtue of having color. And you do not understand to this day the envy that people have of you because you have color. You are the most beautiful people on camera or walking down the street that God ever created. And yet, he has trained you to apologize for having it. Train you to cringe and to look for his chemicals to put on your face to try to take it off. Now, 3,000 or 4,000 years before he wore a shoe or lived in a house that had a window, when you didn't have this nonsense in your mind, you hadn't come in contact with him at all, nor had you come in contact with the Asians when you had your own spirituality intact, when he hadn't interfered with your culture, or you, when you didn't know of his existence, you, meaning African people, had created a spirituality that said every living thing has a soul, including a tree, including a cockroach. And this form of spirituality included everything and included a law, the law of opposites, which to simplify it was the law of common complementary, that you complemented everything, that if you had a female, you got to have a male or vice versa. And so you did not ever get into the stupidity of debating the equality of man and woman, because you couldn't have one without the other. And so Africans never would debate the equality of a man and a woman, because it is almost asking whether your mother was your equal. And how would you debate anything as stupid as that? Because if it wasn't for your mother, you wouldn't be here. How silly would such a debate be? So you never got into that. It was out of this kind of atmosphere of spirituality that the Africans created not only the matrilineal system where the lineage in the family came down to the female, but where he created the world's first female god. Where the Europeans didn't do it then, don't do it now. Where the European had an argument from the beginning as to whether he could accept her, and made her a beast of burden from the beginning. But when the Africans, if he had any debate, it was not whether she was an equal, but whether she, the mother, the giver of life, the sustainer of life, would accept him, not whether he would accept her. And for the most logical thing was to make her one of the first deities in human history. What I'm saying is that he laid the basis for basic humanity and the basic laws of the universe.